In this WrestleTalk news, Thunder Rosa has heat with multiple wrestlers, Sammy Guevara speaks on Eddie Kingston's suspension, tons more details on CM Punk, AEW meetings, and maybe a bit on WWE too. Subscribe and enable notifications to always on for daily wrestling news videos.
Support WrestleTalk!
On this past week's episode of Dynamite, though it was overshadowed by all of the CM Punk and Jon Moxley stuff, Thunder Rosa announced that she had to take some time away as AEW Women's World Champion and that there would be an interim champion crowned at All Out, with those competitors in a fatal four-way being Toni Storm, Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter, and Hikaru Shida. Rumors then began circulating online that actually Rosa's injury was a work, and the reason they were doing the interim champion was because she has heat with other wrestlers. And as it turns out, these rumors had a half-truth in them. It was confirmed by Fightful Select that Rosa is legitimately injured, though the actual injury itself is currently unknown, speculated to be related to bulging discs. PW Insider reported that it was also a disc issue, so that seems to be the prevailing theory about the injury, and one that she reportedly had been trying to work through. So they're not doing the interim champion because of a kayfabe injury, but as it turns out, there are people that don't like her. Voices of Wrestling originally reported that Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker couldn't stand each other, which was corroborated by Fightful Select as well, noting that that had been the case for over a year. However, the two had attempted to remain professional and work with each other, and reportedly are still open to work with each other for the sake of simply doing their jobs. However, an interesting note about this is that Britt Baker isn't the only one with heat on Rosa, as Jamie Hayter also reportedly developed heat with her after her nose was broken in a match recently. Reportedly, much of the heat surrounding Rosa currently comes from her working stiff in the ring. There seems to be two sides to the perception of Rosa backstage, as Fightful Select reports that talent has contacted them on both sides, with one side noting how she's worked hard to get younger talent booked on shows, with others perceiving her as developing an ego and being difficult to work with. It's certainly a chaotic time backstage in AEW, and now the floodgates have opened, it seems there's more and more reports of backstage unrest brewing. Like this whole ordeal between Eddie Kingston and Sammy Guevara. It was reported earlier this week that Eddie Kingston had been suspended by AEW, though that suspension has now been carried out. This was reportedly due to a confrontation between Kingston and Guevara, which Kingston confirmed in a statement, noting that he was wrong. Now there's been more details on this confrontation, as reported by Fightful Select. Kingston was reportedly angry at Guevara for not clearing the contents of a since edited out promo, in which Guevara called Kingston a fat piece of shit. While Kingston took exception to this, it was Guevara's follow-up that reportedly set him off, as after Kingston yelled at him backstage, he smiled at him, which set Kingston off more. He pie-faced Guevara, which upset Guevara massively, and Kingston was suspended for 2 weeks. This doesn't appear to be the end of this saga though, as there's even more details coming out, and a statement from Sammy Guevara too.
Before we get on with the rest of the episode, I'd just like to say a huge thank you to this video's sponsor, Athletic Greens, a nutrition company that I've genuinely been trying to get to sponsor us for about 2 years, because I freaking love them, and I drink a cool, refreshing shaker of their AG1 first thing every morning. Gobble, gobble, gobble! AG1 is a nutritional drink that supports your energy, your focus, your gut, your digestion, and immune system health. It contains 75 different ingredients, including vitamins, minerals, superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens. It tastes great, and because it's got so much stuff in it, I don't take anything else. When I kept feeling run down at the start of lockdown, it was this drink that started to help me feel better. Honestly, within 3 days of drinking AG1, not having changed anything else in my diet, my stomach suddenly stopped trying to implode every few hours. AG1's natural occurring enzymes bolstered the digestive process with 7.2 billion CFU dairy-free probiotics. And it's vegan, paleo, and keto friendly. Delicious and healthy! Go to athleticgreens.com/WrestleTalk to get started on your order, where WrestleTalk viewers will get a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D, which is super important, and 5 free travel packs with their first purchase. Please do at least click the link to check them out, as every visit helps support the channel, and it could also be the best thing you do for your health in ages. Green that green.
In what seems to be a case of miscommunication on all sides, there's now another layer to this Kingston and Guevara story, as Fightful Select reports that following Sammy Guevara's feuds with Ethan Page, Scorpio Sky, and working with Sanjay Dutt, he had been perceived as difficult to work with. And on top of this, Guevara himself issued a statement to Fightful to give his perspective on this situation. As a professional, you communicate things you don't want to be said, and I did communicate of what I didn't want to be said in this angle, and Eddie didn't. So after Taze and my match with Sky Blue and Dante, I cut a promo on Eddie, insulting Eddie and the fans as a heel. I see what people say online about Eddie and his appearance, which anyone who legitimately shames Eddie for how he looks can go to hell. So Sammy Guevara the character, I could be the physical person playing that person so Eddie can shut him up at All Out. So after the promo, I get to the back and Eddie is flipping out, yelling, "You can't call me fat," over and over, as I'm trying to walk down the stairs in Gorilla, making a big scene. But even though new reports are emerging of backstage chaos in AEW pretty consistently, it can't all be bad news, right? Because they got good viewership, and that's all that matters, right? This week's Dynamite broke the 1 million viewer mark, netting an average of 1.049 million viewers according to Showbuzz Daily, primarily helped along by the Punk vs Moxley title unification match, I would assume. And hey, what the hell is happening in AEW with all that stuff? If you thought that the unification match being moved to Dynamite and Punk being squashed in 3 minutes while being helped to the back and presumably written off TV was so that they could lead to another rematch at All Out, well, good for you, I guess, because that is reportedly the plan. Despite all evidence to the contrary on Dynamite, according to Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio, the current plan is for the main event of All Out to be Jon Moxley versus CM Punk. We've only got just over a week until All Out, but it is Punk and Moxley. I don't know if they're going to add Stips or whatever, but that is the main event. Punk's going to be back in 10 days. Look, he'll go in there selling the foot. The rematch is in Chicago. Punk's going to be cheered like crazy. Punk can play the babyface with the bad foot, and they can work a great match with that handicap. I'm not exactly sure that's what people wanted after the outcome of their Dynamite match, but okay, I guess. I'm sure this won't sour the people that actually enjoyed the Dynamite angle. The other big talking point in AEW before Dynamite this week was the big talent meeting that Tony Khan called for, which is reported to be a big rallying speech about working together as a team. There's been some more details about that meeting to come to light, as according to Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio, CM Punk's current backstage drama with Hangman Page, yet another instance of AEW's backstage environment being bananas right now, was never brought up as a topic of discussion in the meeting, which I guess is fair, and might have been a little awkward if it was. And per PW Insider, while many of the people who spoke at the meeting, like Tony Schiavone, the Young Bucks, and Chris Jericho all used a positive, encouraging tone, Kenny Omega also spoke and was much more in the tough love category with a harsher tone. And according to Brian Alvarez, the vast majority of people came out of the meeting feeling better, but some did not. I guess I should talk about WWE a little in this video too. Last month, news broke that WWE would be moving back to a TV-14 rating, beginning with Raw and then having SummerSlam be TV-14 too. However, this never came to pass, with the rating for SummerSlam on Peacock even being changed to TV-14 at one point before being reverted back. Since we've heard nothing since, some people may have assumed that the TV-14 plans have been scrapped altogether, or now with Triple H at the helm, maybe there's a chance of them being reignited? It's the former, according to PW Insider, as there are no current plans to change the company's TV rating for any of their shows. And hey, I don't even know if WWE going back to a TV-14 rating would even fix WWE. I made a video on that. You should watch it. But bear in mind I made that video before Triple H got into power and before WWE became cool again. Don't hate me in the comments, thanks. Anyway, Triple H's WWE so far has been known for one particular thing: returns of released WWE wrestlers. This trend may be set to continue, as there's rumors circling about a couple of other wrestlers that could be making their way back to the E. Tenille Dashwood, the former Emma in WWE, or Emelina if you're feeling fancy, recently revealed that she was dating current WWE star Madcap Moss. And while Dashwood signed with Impact Wrestling in 2019, a post last week indicated that she was a free agent, with her posting the definition of the term free agent to Twitter, though That might be too subtle for me to pick up on there though. Don't know what she's hinting at. Madcap Moss responded with some eye emojis to this tweet as well, so maybe Moss would like her to join him in WWE once again, and maybe Triple H might be more willing to have it back, and she may be more willing to go back in this new era of WWE programming. Another WWE return we might see before long is Jonah, the former Bronson Reed. Reed was well protected in NXT, even defeating Johnny Gargano for the North American Championship in a cage match, though after some dark match tryouts for the main roster, he was released from the company, presumably to the dismay of Triple H. According to Andrew Zarian on the We're Live Pal podcast, WWE is interested in bringing Reed back to the company, so expect him to be on SmackDown tonight. Probably. It was recently revealed that NXT UK would be going on hiatus, and then rebranded as NXT Europe, part of Triple H's global localization, I guess, a brand which current AEW star William Regal helped create. There are claims, which I would call the truth, that NXT UK completely stifled and nearly killed the UK independent scene, considering that was its purpose when it was created. However, Regal refuted that on his Gentleman Villain podcast. And there's people that will say, well, you killed British wrestling. Mate, I'm telling you, I went over there in 2016 for 2 weeks to check out the British wrestling scene, and I found that it wasn't what it was supposed to be. There was ICW running a few shows a month, Progress was running 1 or 2 shows a month, Rev Pro was running 1 and sometimes 2 shows a month. There was lots of work on, but I ended up going to All-Star Promotion shows just because I felt bad about not having enough shows to go to. It was a myth that there was only all this incredible stuff going on, when really there was companies running a couple of shows a month. Now I know what a lot of you have been wondering. What exactly has Vince McMahon been up to since he retired from WWE? Has he actually let go of the company? Is he truly gone? And the answer to that is, he's partying with John Cena. Vince celebrated his 77th birthday a couple of days ago and was out in New York's Waverly Inn restaurant with none other than John Cena. Interestingly, Vince was flanked by a mystery woman who was not Linda McMahon.
In this WrestleTalk news, Eddie Kingston suspended by AEW, news on who came up with the finish for Jon Moxley versus CM Punk, AEW might be pursuing WWE for alleged contract tampering, and Pete reviews last night's episode of AEW Dynamite.